miss us?
Did you miss me? Did you miss me? I changed my shirt. Figured it was more appropriate. So yes, this is part 1 of our 4-part review of the latest DuckTales episodes. And we are going to start things off with episode 8.
The Treasure of the Found Lamp.
Found Lamp. Not Lost Lamp, Found Lamp. And if that title sounds a little familiar to you, it's because that was the title of the original DuckTales movie. And that's kind of what the whole premise of this surrounds. So to summarize, this episode, pretty much you can call it callback the episode. Both in terms of the original show, the new show, and pretty much DuckTales in general. The synopsis is basically this man from the Middle East comes to Scrooge's mansion, and he demands that Scrooge hand over this lamp that he found when he found the treasure of Kali Baba, which was the premise of the original movie. Scrooge, of course, keeping all of his possessions in his garage and just, in piles and stuff, can't find it at first, but eventually he finds out that it's not lost. Louis sold it in a garage sale. Way to go, man. So, of course, they don't want to anger this guy, whose name is Jin, because he means business, trust us. So, they distract him with a side quest, going to Ithaquack of all places, while Huey, Dewey, and Louie basically try to hunt down the lamp, and shenanigans ensues. No, man, where do we start with this?
So, yeah, as we said, there's a lot of callbacks in this episode. We get a lot of characters such as Duckworth, Gladstone, Doofus, Celine, and the squid guy from the one room in Ithaquack, guarding the Spear of Poseidon, I believe it was.
Yep. And then, of course, Ma Beagle and the Beagle Boys in their junkyard haven. So we pretty much go all over the place in this episode.
And, of course, the episode itself is a homage to the movie Treasure of the Lost Lamp. So we've got a lot of references to that as well.
Yeah, this is a nice episode for somebody who hasn't watched DuckTales in a while. In regards to both the original and the new one, because granted it hasn't been that long of a hiatus, so it's not like we forgot a lot of things, but it's still a nice refresher because they reintroduced characters that we've already been introduced to. It's just, taking advantage of the unique settings and situations and applying it to this particular plot. I actually, really enjoyed it, too, because it was a nice little Easter egg hunt here and there, because in terms of with Scrooge and Jin and Webby and all of them, they go to Ithaquack, they get Celine in on the deal, and they're putting Jin, who's this hardcore adventurer, through these trials and stuff, and everything from physical trials to riddles and stuff, and he just aces them all. They went through an entire book full of these questions and riddles, and he got every single one right. That's pretty damn impressive. And meanwhile, we see the boys are trying to hunt down where that lamp could have possibly gone to. They summon Duckworth back from his sabbatical in hell. Because, Scrooge just has a lantern that's a portal to hell just laying around in his garage.
Like you do.
Of course. And of course, Duckworth says, oh yeah, I gave it to this guy who wore green, and $20 suddenly appeared out of nowhere for him to pay it. So that leads us to Gladstone, who, of course, is coursing off his good luck as per usual. And he mentions that he sold it to this rich kid with really sticky hands. So that leads him to Doofus Drake, who is still a creepy rich asshole, and still enslaves his parents and makes them do stupid, humiliating tasks and whatnot. And he reveals that he initially purchased it as a gravy boat, but after one use, typical rich guy mentality decides, I don't want it anymore. tosses it in the garbage. And of course, where does all the garbage in Duckburg end up? The dump.
With the beagles.
Yep. And so the finale pretty much has both parties ending up at the dump, because by this point, they can't keep fooling Jin, because he, like I said, he aced all their trials and everything. So they pretty much resort to saying, oh yeah, Ma Beagle stole it. She's back at Duckburg in the dump. So they go there, the boys go there, they're all trying to get it together and stuff, and it becomes like a race to see who grabs the lamp first. And Jin makes it sound like this is a life or death thing, like, oh, like horrible things would happen if that lamp was in the wrong hands, whatever. Ma Beagle gets her hands on it, and of course she's excited. She thinks, oh, there's a genie, I can make wishes, I can wish for better sons. Fucking bitch. However, there's no genie. Yeah.
Or at least there's not anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, at this point, it is an ordinary lamp. However, the story behind it is actually rather amazing and romantic. It turns out that this lamp that Jin's been looking for did at one point have a genie. His great-great-grandmother came across it, but rather than make wishes, she befriended the genie, and they formed a relationship to the point where they fell in love. And when it came time for her to make a wish, she only made one, and that was for his freedom, so they could be together. And if that's not one of the most romantic stories you've ever heard of, then you have no soul. Like, I was like really worried at first that everybody was after this piece of worthless junk that, you know, the guy just wanted just because it was his or whatever. But yeah, it actually turns out like it has actual significance to it, and it comes with a great story too. So, you know, it was like a really nice moral in a sense, because especially in regards to Scrooge, because like I said, he keeps hoarding all of his stuff, you know, out of the public eye, and like God knows how many vaults that he has. So he decides by the end of it that, you know, I'm going to share my treasures with the world, and I'm going to make a profit off it. Well,
at least from taxes.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, it's tax exempt, so it's of historical significance. So yeah, like like in terms of like plot, there's like nothing plot wise in this, but it serves as a nice refresher to everything. And it was like a nice like way to sort of like, you know, for people who are big fans like us to like spot the little Easter eggs here and there. It's like, I really enjoyed it, honestly.
I did too. I especially found it interesting because we were watching this other reviewer, and he was saying how basically like the plot of this is not only is it a reference to the Treasure of the Lost Lamp, but it subverts expectations and does like exactly the opposite of, you know, what each thing happened in the movie. So for instance, for starters, you have Jin, who in the movie was originally Dijon. So they were going for one pun, and in this case, they go for the more political correctness. And it also, apparently in Arabic, Jin means genie.
Yeah, which makes sense.
There you go. And of course, in, you know, continuing the trend of having, you know, appropriate ethnicity, the actor is of Iranian descent, I believe.
Yes. He
so
is.
Yeah, it's now. So not only do we get rid of the racist caricature, we actually, you know, do it honor. And yeah, Jin himself, unlike the character of Dijon, he's like honorable. He's thirsty for adventure. He's smart. Mm-hmm. He, you know, is like everything the exact opposite of what Dijon was.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because that character is annoying.
Yeah. And of course, it's like, it's the title itself is The Found Lamp. So where, you know, the movie goes on about them, you know, where they go and hunt for the treasure of Kali Baba, in this case, it's already been found. It's just Louis, of course, sold the lamp, so now they have to hunt that again. And yeah, it's like, again, they have all the callbacks to all the other characters. You know, we get Gladstone, we get Doofus, we get Duckworth, we get Celine, the Squid, the Beagle Boys, and Ma Beagle. And it all ends up with a fight over the lamp in an ode to the original theme song where Glomgold and Scrooge are climbing up that pillar to get the lamp, or a lamp. So it's like, it does all this. It's just so jam-packed, but it's so accessible for both new viewers and for the old fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, this was a very nice starter episode, most definitely. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, it doesn't do much plot-wise other than, set up the whole museum, which might come into play later, because God knows what Scrooge actually put in that museum. Like, he probably put one of his cursed items in there. It's gonna get stolen at some point. I'm just calling that now, because, it's bound to happen. But yeah, I said this was a pretty good episode. I'm liking it so far. So, and it makes me hopeful for what we're about to see too. And and actually in preparation to this, because I remember watching the teaser for this before the episodes were actually announced, and I mentioned it to Zen, and he's like, she's like, we should actually watch the old movie just so we get can get the references and refresh ourselves, because Lord knows it's been years for me. So, yeah, we watched that, and we're not going to review it here. That's a whole other thing.
Watch the Disney debate.
It's a literal message. Yeah, it was like a nice refresher, and like the movie's not that bad, and I thought this episode, like, despite the fact that it takes it in a new direction, actually, like, honors it and improves it in a way, which is what the show does best. So, kudos on that. So this was a good episode. We look forward to talking about the next one, where we go to the Old West.
The outlaw Scrooge McDuck.
See you then.